South of Dublin, Ireland's capital city, there is a little town that most people probably overlook when they visit Ireland. It's a small town, yes, but Enniscorthy in County Wexford was where the British ended the 1798 rebellion in Ireland. Now, not only does it have stunning landscapes, but it is one of the most important places in Ireland. Today, it's a peaceful little town with lots to offer, but under the surface, there are thousands of years of history. Let's take a look at the monuments and landmarks and their history and see the city as it is today. Then, let's get a cup of coffee and maybe visit a pub. So grab a snack, get comfy, and come with me on this adventure. Enniscorthy has a lot to offer, but today I'll focus on a few of its main attractions. First up, the town itself. It's a vibrant mix of traditional and modern life. Enniscorthy is an old town, dating back to 510 AD, when Saint Senan from County Clare founded a monastic settlement on the eastern side of the River Slaney. In the not-so-distant past, Enniscorthy was famous for its mills and factories, mostly gone now, and only a distant memory. The windmill up on Vinegar Hill is a remnant of that time. You walk the steep streets to a mix of old and new. Picture colorful shopfronts, cozy cafes, and friendly locals. It's the kind of place where you can grab a coffee and just soak in the atmosphere. However, to understand and get a real feel for this, you have to walk the many streets of the small town. Next, we'll head up to Vinegar Hill. This historic site isn't just a hill, it's a landmark of rebellion and resistance. Curiously, the hill has nothing to do with vinegar, so how did it get this peculiar name? Maybe a famous general called Vinegar in the rebellion gave it its name? Nothing of the sort. This is another example of the British badly anglicizing an Irish name. The name in Irish sounds like Fine Gael, so the British called it Vinegar. The name actually translates to Hill of the Berry Tree. So what happened here? Well, it is remembered as the longest day of the rebellion. Vinegar Hill was the headquarters and largest camp of the rebels towards the end of the rebellion, known as the United Irishmen, who were tired of the British ruling their country and they wanted Ireland to be returned to the Irish. They initially took over several towns, but the British, led by General Lake, pushed back, and after losing thousands of lives in battles, the rebels were pushed back to Vinegar Hill. That was their last stand. General Lake had launched several attacks, and on June 21st, they took Vinegar Hill and Enniscorthy. Many of the rebels fled, and most of the political and military leaders were hanged, ending the rebellion. Now the views from the top are absolutely breathtaking. You can see for miles, and it's hard not to feel a sense of connection to the history that unfolded there. It is a great place to sit, reflect, and take in the beautiful countryside. Speaking of beautiful views, let's head over to Enniscorthy Castle. Now this is a castle that was built on the Slaney River 830 years ago. It's seen all of the history that went down in Enniscorthy. It was built around 1190 by the de Pendergrast family. Like many Irish castles, this one was built on the site of a previous wooden castle, but there are no real records of that castle. It was probably an Irish house and was destroyed after the Anglo-Norman invasion in 1169. It makes a lot of sense because these are Norman castles. They would have been built after the Anglo-Norman invasion. To find out more about the invasion, check out the playlist on Irish castles in the channel page. The family lived there for almost 300 years, but then in 1375, Art McMurrough Kavanagh, descendant of Dermot McMurrough, the one who basically started the 1169 Anglo-Norman invasion, he took the castle from the owners. It was a battle, and he won. He claimed that that was his ancestral lands, and he was entitled to it. The MacMurroughs held the castle until 1536, about 250 years. Art MacMurrough's descendants surrendered the castle and the lands to Lord Leonard Grey, but the castle was in ruins because they hadn't maintained the castle during their time. To make matters even worse, when the Earl of Kildare and the Butlers of Kilkenny raided Enniscorthy in 1569, they actually set fire to the castle. They killed a lot of people, and so the castle was in ruins until the famous poet Edmund Spenser. He leased it in 1581, but he never lived there. He was too afraid that the MacMurrough Kavanaghs would come back to claim the lands again. It wasn't until some 50 years later, when Henry Wallop, he was given the region by Queen Elizabeth. He wanted to take over the forests and develop the lands and build a town there. And so he took over the lands and he rebuilt the castle. Unfortunately, this wouldn't last very long. In 1649, Oliver Cromwell attacked Enniscorthy, but nobody wanted him to destroy the castle, so they surrendered it. But the Irish were smart, and this was just a tactic. In December of that year, Captain Daniel Farrell took the castle back for the Irish. 2 months later, the governor of Wexford, Colonel Cooks, moved into the castle. Remember the 1798 rebellion? Well, the castle was used as a prison at that time. By the way, if you're enjoying the video, please let me know clicking that thumbs up button. It really helps the channel. In 1898, Patrick J. Roche leased the castle for his son Henry to live with his family there, and that's the castle we see today. They removed the curtain walls, restored the castle, and extended it greatly. They lived there until recently, 1951, about 75 years ago. But this was not a peaceful time either. During the Irish Civil War of 1922, the Free State Army took over Enniscorthy Castle to use to store weapons and ammunition. Now, unfortunately, the anti-treaty IRA eventually took over the town. They surrounded the castle and the battle began. The battle only lasted 4 days, when the soldiers, who were trapped inside, running low on food and water and completely surrounded, decided to surrender. If you look carefully at the walls, you can see bullet holes around one of the windows from that battle. After the Roche family moved out, it was converted into the Wexford County Museum, and that opened in 1962, about 10 years after they moved out. In 2006, it was completely refurbished. Now, it's an amazing place to explore the castle's history with exhibitions and remnants from its origins. Visiting the castle is a unique experience because you have all the history from the time it was built, the battles, the wars, the revolutions, and the previous and last tenants of the castle. As I said in the beginning of the video, Enniscorthy is well worth exploring, with a lot of history and amazing places. Each of these spots tells a story, and together they weave the narrative of Enniscorthy. The breathtaking views from Vinegar Hill are like stepping back in time. Imagine the sight that met the eyes of those who were fighting during the 1798 rebellion. The history is in the air, and standing there, you can almost feel what those soldiers must have felt when they were standing up for their beliefs and trying to fight the British off. This isn't just about looking at a beautiful view. It's about understanding the sacrifices made and the lives lost right where you are standing. And you can feel this in the pride of the locals. And they have a lot of pride for their town and their history. For all these reasons, I think Enniscorthy truly deserves a spot on your travel list. If you want to be notified when I publish new videos, please consider subscribing and activating all the channel notifications. Now, if you want to see another castle exploration, this is the video to watch next. I'll see you over there.